Welcome, welcome. I'm Marina Orms, the founder of Astrology Heals, and this is our second video 2 in the Countdown to 2022 series. I'm so excited to be here with you today because we're going to be talking about another astrological cycle that helps us understand where we are in the big picture of evolving energies and how that informs us to make wise and self-loving choices as we go through this time in history and support ourselves to keep the work of moving forward going. So it's all about healing yourself. And when you heal yourself, it makes you more available to be a positive influence and agent of healing and change and positive things in the world. So that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this. It's all to support you in being more fully yourself, more fully alive, and living your potential. Last time in video 1, we did talk about some of the context of where we are in 2021, what happened astrological with a triple conjunction in 2020, a triple conjunction in Capricorn, and some other things going on as well, where we're headed in 2022, how this impacts our the things that we're worried about for the world and why those things are falling apart. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So today's topic is Pluto in Capricorn and what it means that we're having Pluto in Capricorn for still another year, and how that is going to change when Pluto goes into Aquarius in 2023 and 2024. So one of the questions that came up, which is just an absolutely fantastic question, is how do we know when these things are going to ease up? When am I going to get some relief from some of these pressures that are happening? So I'm going to be talking about that today as well. And the theme of Pluto in Capricorn is relating to the planet Pluto. Pluto is all about transformation, and the energy of the planet Pluto, when it comes through, when it forms aspects to other planets or geometric relationships to other planets, when it impacts us by transit, the way that it impacts us is that it tends to go very deep, very slowly, and it comes through like a bulldozer, and it takes down whatever we thought we were standing on. The ground we thought we were standing on is removed from beneath our feet so that we can recognize that that ground that we were standing on was not everything. We think it's everything because it feels solid, but when it gets removed, we actually realize, hey, wow, we actually can have a different ground. We can actually replace this with something that works better for us. And that's the very foundation that we stand on, that we rest on, that we do everything from. So what that means for the collective is that as Pluto has gone through the sign of Capricorn, Capricorn is the sign that the sun is in the wintertime. It's the shortest day, right? It's the time when things feel restrictive, when things are dying back, when things are ending. We're really in the depth of sort of that the darkness, but also that period of hibernation, of rest, of kind of shutting down our functions, so that we can rest and be ready to restart in the springtime. So that's the energy of Capricorn. Now, when Pluto goes through Capricorn, as it has since 2008, what we have is this planet that brings this energy of the bulldozer through this sign that has to do with restriction and limitation and structures. And so Capricorn relates to the bony structures in our bodies. It also relates to the foundation and the load-bearing walls in a building. So it's the structure that holds things together, that holds things up, that allows us to do all the things we do. Capricorn also relates to the roots of a tree. So when you think about a tree that has very deep roots, it has the strength to withstand a storm. When it's healthy, when it's strong, when its roots are well established, then that tree can live through things that are going to happen. When the roots are shallow, when they become brittle, the tree is vulnerable, right? And it can come down. And that's what happens with Capricorn energy, is that when we have systems, structures, institutions, the things that hold us up, the things that provide us with this skeleton or this framework by which we operate, for example, government, we have that becoming old, and Pluto says, well, you know, it's not working as well as it used to. Let's see what we can replace it with. So in the meantime, that feels like Pluto is just saying, let's get rid of that. That doesn't work. Let's get rid of that. That doesn't work. But you're standing there going, wait a minute. I kind of needed that. So, so we have this energy of Pluto coming through Capricorn and raising, breaking down the things that we count on, which is very Capricorn. So things like government, things like medical, financial, educational institutions, things like even what we consider to be the institution of the family or marriage is changing. All these foundations that we have that we think of as just taken for granted. This is just the way things are. And Pluto's like, you know what, that can change. And so this is us confronting the reality that we actually have the ability to create these things in different ways. Now, in the meantime, that is painful, can be painful. And we have a pandemic, and we have the threat of climate change, and we have the threat of democracy. You know, is it going to be able to withstand the storms that are happening right now? So all of these things are in the bigger picture of astrology and astrological cycles and our own evolution and our own evolutionary process. What it's doing is it's saying, yeah, you really count on that, but do you want to think about constructing it anew? Do you want to make it stronger? Do you want to make it better? And so we have this opportunity to think about how to do that, and to think about our healthcare systems, our financial systems, and our economic systems, and just the structures that we have in place, and whether we could be doing that differently. So what it seems like from the outside, especially if you're just watching news headlines, is that we have a whole lot of breakdown and not a whole lot yet of replacing. So what are we heading into? What are we moving into? And in 2021 and in 2022, you're going to see more and more of these kind of grassroots solutions being put forward. And they haven't taken shape necessarily yet, but that it's the idea of thinking outside the box and really reimagining how things could be. So so you can, if you look back 10, 20, 30 years, you can see how much things have changed in terms of our our awareness of climate change, our awareness of some of the vulnerabilities that our democratic systems and structures have, an awareness of the way that some of our institutions are not working for all people. So there are opportunities again for people to put forth, new ways that these could be done. So in the meantime, coming back to the question of how do you deal with things that are hard, and for some of us that could be the impacts of the pandemic and having a financial or economic impact on you personally, the stress of living through a pandemic, the stress of not having, for some people, not having their regular social connections is tremendously stressful. Having kids and having to make decisions about what your kids can and can't do, or how to send them to school, or what that looks like, incredibly stressful. All these things that come into awareness that we get to see, hey, maybe this could be done better, but in the meantime, it's just not working. So that is the energy of Pluto going through Capricorn. It's really forcing us, just like we hibernate in the wintertime, it is forcing us to get clear about what is truly important. To come down to maybe some having to let go of some unnecessary aspects of our lives, some things that maybe we took for granted that were more frivolous, or maybe not as necessary as we thought they were, but really coming back to that place of what is truly important. What do we need to have? For my family, that has been like having an idea that what we eat can change, and just recognition of supply chain issues, and having a flexibility of, if this isn't in the store or it's gotten too expensive, we'll switch over to something else. And that actually gives us this chance to try new recipes and eat different things, or get by with doing things a different way. So having that open mind and that flexibility can really help. Self-care is also just hugely important as we go through this time. The pressures that we put on ourselves and the expectations that we have for ourselves to live up to, our own expectations that we have. So easing off on that, maybe you're not going to get as much done. Maybe all the Christmas cards aren't going to go out this year, or maybe, it really is about coming back to what's really necessary to keep yourself going, and what that looks like to make choices in your life and to have boundaries, and not, I know a lot of people are cutting back on how they do things. So these are just opportunities to it's coming deeper inside, thinking about what's really important. And this is the energy of Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto is in Capricorn, as I said, for another full year. All of 2022, Pluto will continue to be in Capricorn. So before Pluto goes into Aquarius, things will shift. But it's not like, you don't want to think about astrology as like, oh, if I can only wait until Pluto goes into Capricorn or Mercury goes direct, then I can breathe again, then everything will work again, right? It doesn't work that way. It's actually, when Pluto is in Capricorn, it's this, the universe is saying, here is your chance. Here is your opportunity to work with the things being this way. And when things are this way, what does that look like for you? What do you need to do? How do you need to respond and take care of yourself, and look within and ask yourself what's really important? As we go through this final year of Pluto in Capricorn, we have still more opportunities to do that. And it's really about asking ourselves, what is the foundation that we want to have beneath us? What do the structures look like? How do we want to do that? How do we want to plan for a future that actually serves us better. And when Pluto goes into Aquarius, which it will in the spring of 2023, and then it goes retrograde back into Capricorn again. And then in early 2024, Pluto goes into Aquarius to stay for many years. So Pluto in Aquarius will be really a different feeling in the background of how we operate. It's going to feel more free, more liberating, more focused on the future, more connected with our neighbors and our acquaintances, and hopefully more of a feeling of working together, of grassroots efforts, of more local kinds of communities working together and finding solutions, finding solutions together at the and those smaller levels. A focus on how we come together one-on-one and work things out, a focus on how we as individuals have solutions to offer rather than looking to our centralized authority figures, which is what it looks like when Pluto is in Capricorn. We are still, one of the lessons we're learning with Pluto in Capricorn is that as we look to, we have these old patterns of looking to a centralized authority figure. We have to ask ourselves, how are we giving our power away when we do that? So when we're counting on a figurehead, such as the president to solve all of our problems, is that realistic? Can they even do that? And how does that devolve and become more and more dysfunctional? So, what does it look like for us to take responsibility from our own sense of self, which is what Pluto in Aquarius is going to feel like? So as we go through Pluto in Capricorn, we need to learn that lesson of what it looks like to learn to trust ourselves, to come back to that place of inner strength, of self-confidence, of self-trust. That is the lesson of Pluto in Capricorn. So finding your place of resilience, finding your own ability to solve problems and answer questions, and not wait around for institutions that are falling apart to solve things for you. To take things into your own hands and try to make those systems and structures better, to call your your representatives and to offer your services, to run for office or volunteer to make things better, or step in and offer to help by even, sometimes even just providing some support for others who are doing the work. So donating money, these are all, it's all like what feels meaningful to you and what you're called to and the ways that you're called to help. Because when you do that, you're standing in your own sense of self-confidence and self-trust, because it's what you have to offer. So that is the lesson of Pluto in Capricorn. And as we go through this time period, we have one more year to continue to get that right. And the more we do, the more we work on getting that right before Pluto goes into Aquarius, the better situated we are for Pluto in Aquarius to serve the outcomes that we want. So then when we're breaking outside the box, which is Pluto, which is Aquarius, when we're stepping into the future, when we're thinking of new solutions and new possibilities, we want to be doing that from a place of strong self-reliance, self-confidence, having built that strong foundation of sense of self, and offering to help where we can to make things better, to contribute our skills, our experiences, our time and energy. So That is the experience of Pluto going through Capricorn, what that's going to look like in 2022. We're going to be doing more of this, but we've been doing it for so long now, having Pluto in Capricorn, that there's more of that sense of, yeah, we can do this. We can rely on ourselves. And there's whatever more we have to learn around that, we have the opportunity to do in 2022. So that is the Pluto in Capricorn part. And coming up in future videos, so next week I'm going to be talking about the Saturn-Uranus square and what that means for us, and then on December 23rd, Neptune and Jupiter in Pisces. We're going to talk about how Jupiter moving through Pisces and a conjunction of Jupiter with Neptune is going to help us work on our beliefs and shape a future that works more through compassion, more through caring for all people, and how we're going to have that opportunity, what it can look like if we don't get that right, and what it can look like if we do. And then on December 30th, I'm going to be talking about your evolutionary medicine, how you can be an agent of change in a changing world, what your particular path is, what that looks like, what your old patterns and old story is, and what is the new story that you're stepping into, how to fulfill your own highest potential. And then after the first of the year, we'll be talking about where we go from here. And I'll be sharing more with you about what that could look like in the coming year. So I look forward to connecting with you next week. We are talking about how all of these videos are talking about how we are going to confront the challenges of our times: pandemic, threats to democracy, climate change, all the things that give us worries and fears. And it's really all about how we are responding to those worries and fears. So the more you take care of yourself, the more you find that place where your own batteries are charged so that you can make a difference and make something more positive happen, to steer things in the right direction. That is the invitation of our times. So coming back to yourself, asking what you need so that you can keep moving forward. And that is what it's all about. So next week, Saturn square Uranus, shaping the future through authentic action. We'll be talking about what is the pressure to change, what is changing, and how to make the most of that. Check me out at astrologyheals.com. I've got a set of videos that walk you through creating your very own soul-based action plan that's going to support you with all of this. And just so much more that I've got for you. My 2 books that I've written, Cycles of Healing and Astrology Heals, all help you make the most of astrological cycles and support your own healing and growth. Thank you so much for joining me. Check me out at astrologyheals.com, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.